guys are our second year Cape Gooseberries. These were the first ones that you saw us plant. They did overwinter very well, and they've all grown back, as you can see, quite impressively. If I can give you a comparison, this is how tall they are. And they are massive, massive, massive plants, and they definitely have grown into these true lovely little bushes. Well, they're not really little, but they are lovely. You can definitely tell that it's a different cultivar. I mean, the growing pattern is absurdly different for it to have such a similar fruit, to be honest. I mean, the ground cherry grows so flat to the ground, and this is already 1.5 meters tall. It's huge, and it's only going to grow bigger if we actually let it grow any bigger. We have the option to prune, and we may prune these tendrils. We may prune these and actually plant them. So yeah, guys, it's been quite an adventure with the Cape Gooseberry, especially because that field of Cape Gooseberries that you saw out there was actually spawned from this very plot. So we didn't actually buy any more Cape Gooseberry seeds. What we found when we were wintering, I'm not sure if I actually put this in any video, but what we actually found was that all of the fruit that is lying on the ground, you can see it's due to be harvested. This is all the ripe fruit. They had actually sprouted, and we came to this area once it was better weeded than it is now. And I actually saw it, and I spoke to my brother and I said, oh my days, I don't know why there's a load of moss growing on the ground here. Like, it's not even that wet. How can there be moss and stuff growing there? And then my brother took a look at it and was like, yeah, no, that's not moss. Those are Cape Gooseberry seedlings. And there were thousands up in this area. So many so that we were able to plant literally 1/4 of a hectare of land. So these, like, I think we've got maybe 30 plants here, 25, 30 plants. And we were able to fill. And this was not using all of the spawn seeds as well, seedlings. There were a million seedlings of it. It literally looked like moss. That's how bad it was. It was moss from here all the way to there. Like, all this green you see, imagine that all being tiny seedlings. So yeah, it's an amazing plant. It's been definitely an adventure really learning about it. It's been an adventure growing it. We've definitely discovered something completely different. So let me just show a little comparison. So as you can see, like, yeah, the Cape Gooseberry and so this is the Cape Gooseberry and this is the ground cherry, and they are completely different shape actually. This is much more lanterned. It's got much more of a defined seam to it, whereas this is much more a general seam and obviously a lot bigger. So here you can see the difference between the Cape Gooseberry. This is the Cape Gooseberry, which is a lot bigger, obviously, firstly, and is a lot more opaque. And then you can see the ground cherry, which has a lot more of a star shape defined. It's a lot more of a star shape and defined seams. A lot more defined than the Cape Gooseberry. See them close together. They're quite different. This is the ground cherry is a lot more translucent, to the point where you can even see the seeds through the actual skin itself. And where the Cape Gooseberry, once again, this Cape Gooseberry is not ripe, but I just wanted to open it to show you for comparison. You can see it's starting to ripen, but it's actually still a little bit too green. But as it ripens, you can see it will go to the golden color, and it's a lot less translucent than, it's actually not translucent at all. As you can also see, I've cut it open now, and you can see inside, once again, it shows it's more translucency. And this is actually got much more defined, and I think it's actually more densely packed with seeds, which makes it less translucent. quite juicy, as you can see. Even though they're both quite juicy, this seemingly is more juicy just by sight. But I'd say that when you taste them, they actually taste the same. But I feel like, yeah, definitely there's less seeds per fruit in the ground cherry versus the Cape Gooseberry. Now, the difference between the taste, I will definitely say there's a very big difference between the taste of the two. For me, this is a lot more tart, very more tart and sweet. It's a lot more aromatic as well. It has more of the both of them are aromatic. There's definitely an aromatic feature to the Physalis fruit. However, this has got a much more pungent aromat to it. And this is a lot more, it is pungent, but it's a pungent sweetness. It's funny because when we did the very first harvest of these, my guys brought the bucket into the pack house where I was working, and I kept looking around thinking, what is this extremely sweet smell that I'm smelling? I mean, to the point where I thought somebody had left a box or bag of sweets somewhere in the pack house, and I was like, what is going on? Until I turned around and realised that it was the ground cherry. The ground cherry was such a pungently sweet aroma. And it's a gorgeous aroma, to the point where I said to my brother, perhaps we could market it as some kind of scent. You know, something to rival a Britney Spears or a Jennifer Lopez kind of perfume, because it's that aromatic sweetness. And it's actually, it smells a lot like cocoa butter as well. And it tastes, you know, the difference between taste, this is very tart, pineapple and cherry, it's very gorgeous. This is more like just straight sugar. I can't even really explain it any better than that. It literally smells like an ice lolly. Like if you've ever had a child's ice lolly, that super sweet smell that you get from that, that's exactly what this is. So they're very different, even though they seem to be extremely, extremely similar. But they are very different. So it's been a wild introduction into these fruit, guys. You see the size difference. They're much wider, they're much broader. This is also one that's unripe, but if you can see how big, this is how, you see the fruit picking. I don't want to open it so it can ripen well. But yeah, guys, this is really the difference. So these are the main differences between the fruit. The taste is a lot more sweet. The color difference is a lot more opaque, and one is more translucent, and one is definitely just, I mean, there is no citrus in the ground cherry at all. I do not sense a tiny bit of citrus, so this might be actually a good option for children. I mean, I don't believe that the nutritional value is depleted in the cultivar, the types of cultivar. So I believe that this might actually be well marketed toward a child whom perhaps doesn't like things that are too tart. And obviously, as I said, it literally smells and tastes like a child ice lolly. So if the child will be eating this instead of an ice lolly, it will probably be better for it. But for my personal taste, perhaps even adult taste, I do prefer the ground cherry. It's very tart, aromatic, and sweet as well, zesty. It's gorgeous. I prefer the Cape Gooseberry. It's probably one of my favourite fruits of all time at this point. But yeah, we're going to compare them. They're going to be going head to head on the shelves, even next to each other, because as I said, we have half a field of Cape Gooseberry and half a field of ground cherry. So we're going to see which one wins. Hopefully they both win, because otherwise, if one of them loses, we lose. That's basically the crux of it. So hopefully there can be a market for both. As I said, we're going to have integrity in our marketing, and we're going to identify these as ground cherries and these as Cape Gooseberries, and also just to inform the general public, about the different types of this cultivar, and to also, you know, define a preference, because maybe somebody's been eating the ground cherry for all this time and is like, yeah, it's nice, but it's not that great. Or maybe somebody's been eating the Cape Gooseberry all this time and thinking, yeah, it's nice, but it's not that great, and they may prefer the other type. Just like somebody would prefer a cherry tomato versus a black cherry tomato versus a Roma cherry tomato. So yeah, guys, we're going to try and help the the Physalis market consumer and grower, and start identifying cultivars, start also exploring the traits of the cultivar as well. Obviously the ground cherry is a bit different and they're probably a lot harder to recognize any kind of harvesting because it's so flat to the ground, unless it's grown in a substance that isn't the soil perhaps. But yeah, there's definitely some things that we're going to explore as we take this journey with the Physalis family. And yeah, the next stop for us will be going to market. So yeah guys, as I said to you, it's been a real adventure growing these gooseberries. If per se that the market doesn't enjoy the ground cherry taste as much as the Cape Gooseberry, then we are going to have to rethink things. And perhaps, I mean, we do have half the field is ground cherry and half of the field is Cape Gooseberry, so we do have the option. We are going to have Cape Gooseberry, proper true Cape Gooseberries, but they take a lot longer to mature, a lot longer to grow. I mean, they're huge plants, way bigger plants than any other kind of plants, and the leaves are so nice. It feels like fur. It's such a soft fur. Like it's a really nice plant. But anyway guys, yeah, we're in a situation. We have a half a field of ground cherries and half a field of Cape Gooseberries. We are, when we sell them, we are going to specifically mark them. We're not going to try and pass them off as gooseberries. We're going to mark them because there may well be a market for ground cherries specifically. I feel like there needs to be more transparency because obviously as a consumer we've made a mistake. As a consumer, there's been a big error, and we've been sold ground cherries when we wanted Cape Gooseberries. And truthfully, we wanted Cape Gooseberries because we love the taste, we love how it grows, we knew how it grows, we knew what it wanted. So I was quite confused at the differences that I was tasting, but it made more sense. The more research I did, obviously, and looking at the growing patterns, I was able to see that these are two different plants. And actually, what I ate was a ground cherry, which makes me believe that there is a lot of confusion out there about the Cape Gooseberry versus the ground cherry, because when I bought these gooseberries, they were labeled as gooseberries. They were not labeled as ground cherries. So all we can really do now, guys, is package them correctly, make sure they're labeled correctly, make sure the consumer knows what they're getting, and hope that we can create a market around both ground cherry and the Cape Gooseberry. And to be honest with you, as a farmer, we're not happy. We're not happy to buy seeds that are incorrect, but as a farmer, it's all experience. And also, if Cape Gooseberries or the Physalis family, even because we can grow tomatillos as well, if that is going to be our forte, then we should know about the different cultivars, the differences between the cultivars, the properties, the benefits, and the plus and the minuses. So we need to know about this. So, you know, we're just trusting God's plan, you know. There we were thinking we had Cape Gooseberries, and Cape Gooseberries were just one thing. We come to find out that Cape Gooseberries are quite a few things, and we're now growing them. So guys, the next step is going to market, and I will show you that. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Hope it was informative. Hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully you're looking at your either Cape Gooseberry bush or your ground cherry and you now understand what you're growing. But yeah, any questions, any tips as well, get into the comment section. Thank you so much for subscribing. So thank you so much, guys, for subscribing. You guys are amazing, and I love talking to you as well. So yeah, get into the comments below. Let me know your experiences with growing any from the Physalis family, and also if anybody out there is growing any tomatillos, will be great to kind of know how they grow and see their growing patterns versus these two. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye.